Hello guys, today we will be talking about whether or not chakra and Genjutsu work in situations where we don't use words equalization. I got this idea from, well, a lot of crosswords videos on YouTube, so I wanted to give my own interpretation on if they work. If you enjoy the content, consider liking, leaving a comment, and subscribe. Okay, so first of all, I don't think characters normally have chakra in their bodies. They have stamina. I think they need to mold their stamina into chakra when using jutsu, augmenting their strength, running up trees, water, etc. As explained by Abisu, they can convert their stamina into chakra, make the hand signs, collect the chakra in a certain part of their body, and then release it. So, first getting into stamina. Stamina is a person's physical and spiritual energies unmixed flowing through their chakra network. Also, I think the chakra network is an intangible system made of pure energy, as even when Rock Lee explains it first, he says it is a network of energy lines, like a circulatory system. Now, people might argue that in the Kakuzu and Hidan arc, they show Kakuzu's chakra network, but I think this is just a physical representation of it. As in the Land of Waves, Sasuke Retrieval, and Five Kage Summit arcs, we see multiple characters' chakra moving freely through their bodies, such as Shikamaru's physical energy, which was being devoured by the summoned spiritual creatures. In the Five Kage Summit, we see when Karin senses the Five Kage that their chakra is once again flowing freely through their bodies and not in a designated path. On top of that, the explanation that's given in the Land of Waves arc by Sakura says that the physical energy of chakra comes from the approximately 13 trillion cells of the human body, and this would have to include multiple types of blood cells since they comprise nearly 80 to 90% of the cell count. But since blood cells are continuously cycling through the body, how does the chakra network connect to each of them individually? Is the chakra network also continuously cycling through one ninja's body? Also, we know that individual people can have special chakra signatures. Once again, I think these chakra signatures are stamina signatures. To give a few examples, Uchihas release spiritual energy in their brains when experiencing heightened emotions, which affects their optic nerves and produces a Sharingan. Now, as for why I think this is spiritual energy, firstly, the Sharingan are called the Heavenly Eyes, and heaven along with heavenly energies are strongly tied to spiritual energy in Naruto and most of its inspirations, such as Buddhism, Hinduism, and Shinto. Secondly, the Uchiha in question doesn't get physically stronger. Sure, their combat ability goes up due to their heightened perception, but that doesn't equate to them becoming physically stronger. Anyway, this was all to say that abilities such as the Gentle Fist, Naruto's Sage techniques, and honestly most pure abilities in Naruto can interact with intangible things such as energy. There are also a lot of arguments about hacks in Naruto, not scaling to the character using them. And while that is true in some cases, a lot of people use that fact as a crutch to say that none of the hacks in Naruto can be used to scale, but this is a genetic fallacy. For example, if someone uses the Amaterasu to say that Onoki doesn't scale to his particle style, then that is a genetic fallacy, because Onoki needs to put a corresponding amount of chakra into the jutsu depending on the size of the target, so he scales to the amount of chakra. And as for the unscalable bullshit, you can say that Tsukuyomi and Kotomatsukami are technically hacks, but that doesn't mean that we can't use them to scale a person's mental and spiritual attack resistance. Now, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but there are also arguments that the Naruto verse is not very strong because the characters in Naruto are not very big. So, what is Goku's height? Yeah, I don't think I need to go into why size does not always mean stronger. Other than that, there are a lot of disingenuous videos on the platform in which the entire argument is based around how, for some reason, Naruto abilities would not work against their opponent simply because there is no verse equalization. But then their opponent's abilities will miraculously work on the Naruto character. I think that Naruto characters can interact with characters from other verses even without verse equalization, pretty much because all verses Naruto is put up against have some special physical or mental energy system. Not to mention, even without verse equalization, you still need to take the physical stats of both characters into account. Anyway, now that we have established that Naruto characters can interact with people from other verses without equalization, let's get to the main part. Does Genjutsu work crossverse? The way we will talk about this is through assuming that everyone in Naruto has chakra, not stamina. This interpretation has a few problems. So first, the panel with Jiraiya saying you break out of Genjutsu by controlling your chakra or getting someone else to funnel their chakra into you to help. My question is, if people can funnel their chakra into other people to break them out of Genjutsu, why can't they put them into Genjutsu by the same process? There is a statement in the Itachi novels that with Mangekyo Sharingan Genjutsu, they pour their chakra into their target's eyes. Also, how did Mind Pa put pain into Genjutsu? I mean, bro literally initially got caught in the jutsu through pipes. Secondly, if we assume the chakra network is a physical structure in the body, then we know that the tailed beasts can be put under Genjutsu. There is no proof in the entire story that the tailed beasts have chakra networks. I mean, their origin story is literally Hagoromo using the 10 tails chakra to form the 9-tailed beasts. Also, if they have chakra networks, then how did Kurama survive getting split in two by the Reaper Dead Sea? Also, why could one half of Kurama get put under Genjutsu by Sasuke? This half of Kurama shouldn't even be sensible, seeable, or perceivable. He doesn't have chakra, he only has physical energy. For anyone who doesn't know, Yang release is tied to physical energy, and this is the Yang half of Kurama. Whereas Yin release is tied to spiritual energy, and Genjutsu is a Yin release. Also, I didn't know that souls have chakra networks as well, even though they're supposed to be physical biological material. Minato could enter KCM2 after being revived because both his soul as well as Kurama's soul got brought back from the Reaper's belly. Once again, this Kurama shouldn't have chakra, he's entirely spiritual energy. The same problem obviously applies to Naruto being able to master KCM and KCM2. Neither of these Kuramas have chakra. And also, I love this argument. A lot of people have this argument that Naruto in KCM shouldn't have to worry about having his chakra stolen by the QB because, well, he doesn't have chakra, he has stamina to try to counter the entire stamina point. But then, what if I just countered with the opposite? Naruto shouldn't have KCM in the first place. Kurama doesn't have chakra, it's entirely physical energy. So how is it that Naruto can take Kurama's chakra, even though he is made entirely of physical energy, but then when characters call Naruto's stamina chakra, which is a very common thing in Naruto, all of a sudden people are like, oh, that shouldn't be possible. That doesn't make any sense. Lastly, on this entire bullshit Kurama point, people, do we just forget that in the Sasuke retrieval arc, Tayuya summons a creature that only eats physical energy? That is only spiritual energy? How the fuck would that happen if everyone has chakra? There is also the problem of high-level genjutsu such as Tsukuyomi being able to affect a person's perception of space and time, which is minusculely tied to the 5 senses. Our body uses mostly other senses for our perception of space and time, so that argument of genjutsu affecting the 5 senses doesn't work, especially because, well, it's shown many times in the show that ninjas have more than 5 senses. There is also the argument that the target needs to have a chakra network to be put under genjutsu. But then how do these shinobis put chakra into inanimate objects? B puts it in a pencil, Sasuke puts it in a sword, Genma puts it in a fucking toothpick, Kabuto puts it in an entire goddamn cave, Kakashi puts it in a kunai. I didn't know that these things have chakra networks. Also, both Izanagi and Izanami are verbatim stated to be genjutsu. I didn't know Fate had a chakra network. Not to mention, even if you disregard everything I said in this video, Kaguya casted the infinite Tsukuyomi on people without chakra. So there is an inverse example of people without chakra and chakra networks getting affected by genjutsu. Anyway, I think it's kind of obvious that genjutsu works cross-verse. The only reason people make these arguments are that most verses that Naruto gets put up against in fights don't have the mental attack resistance high enough to compete. So they just try to discredit the ability altogether. But if you don't want to take genjutsu into account, just say that. Why are you trying to act like it just won't work? Although, to be completely fair, most Naruto matchups would not be very fun to talk about with genjutsu involved because, well, genjutsu GG.